Oral question. Baroness Pigeon.
I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper.
My Lords, the Government is committed to decarbonising transport in support of our national mission to kick-start economic growth and make Britain a clean energy superpower. We will encourage the rollout of electric vehicles and work to reduce emissions from shipping and aviation. The Government will produce a plan later in the year for reducing emissions from all sectors, including transport, in line with our legislated carbon budgets.
I'd like to thank the Noble Lord the Minister for his answer. Freight is a key area. Will the Government encourage low-carbon investment and give business certainty by urgently bringing forward a clear regulatory roadmap to decarbonise heavy goods vehicles?
My Lords, we are looking at the regulatory system around heavy good vehicles. The Noble Baroness will know that it is a challenge, that HGV decarbonisation remains issues in relation to higher upfront costs, limited charging and refuelling infrastructure. My Lords, we have a number of initiatives to tackle this. Some improvements are being made. My Lords, I also very much take a point about the incentivisation of shift away from HGVs. She'll be aware that the Department for Transport operates 2 freight revenue grant schemes to encourage modal shift from road to rail and water.
My Lords, I hope my honourable friend will agree that my noble friend the Minister will agree that green hydrogen power has an important part to play in transport decarbonisation. So can he perhaps set out, perhaps by writing to me, what support his department and the Department of Transport can give to innovative companies like Clean Hydrogen Power in Doncaster in developing transport innovation to assist in achieving net zero?
My Lords, my noble friend is assiduous in her promotion of Doncaster as a place where much innovation takes place in the decarbonisation area. My Lords, I'm very happy to pass that on to my noble friend Lord Hendy. I should say that we think hydrogen does have a potential role to play in decarbonising heavier applications such as aviation, shipping and some buses and heavy goods vehicles. So I take my noble friend's point and I'm very happy to arrange the opportunity for this to be discussed further in government.
My Lords, the key next step in decarbonising the aviation sector will be the broader development of sustainable aviation fuel. In order to ensure that we have a SAF industry in this country, the Government is rightly building on the work done by the last Government and taking forward plans for a revenue support mechanism. That, of course, will require legislation, and the SAF bill was in the King's speech. Can the Minister give us an idea about when that bill will come before Parliament?
No, my Lords, I'm afraid I can't give him a specific answer, but the point he makes is a very important one. He will know that international aviation comes within the calculations in relation to Carbon Budget 6. So we need to take decisive action in this area. We have the SAF mandate, which he's referred to. For 2025, the overall trajectory is set at 2% of total fossil fuel jet supplied, and this will increase annually to 10% in 2030 and 22% in 2040. So, my Lords, we are building on what's gone before and taking it very seriously.
My Lords, can the Minister tell us what the Government is doing to invest further in the national cycle network? Cycling was heavily promoted during the COVID period, but seems to have gone backwards since then. It's an important part of decarbonisation. How can we move it forward?
My Lords, it's such a pleasant surprise to hear some member of your Lordship's House speak positively about cycling in place of the usual diatribe we hear from noble Lords on that subject. I am a little biased in that area, noble Lords will understand. So, my Lords, I know that Government is talking to UK cycling bodies at the moment, and of course we do have ambitious plans on active travel. On the 12th of February, we announced details of almost 300 million of funding over 24, 25, 25, 26 for local authorities to provide high quality and easy accessible active travel schemes in England, but I very much take and support the point he raises.
My Lords, what conversations has the Noble Lord the Minister had with management of Nissan UK, who have said this week that government energy policies are making motor manufacturing unsustainable, and that the most efficient Nissan factory in the world is now under threat of closure?
My Lords, I have not personally had a conversation with that company, but clearly the government collectively is in earnest discussions with important motor manufacturers. My Lords, on the question of energy prices, I should say to him, my Lords, and I very much regret his party's retreat from net zero, because the last thing we need to do is fixate on fossil fuel, because, my Lords, the international market in fossil fuel prices are vulnerable to it after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has caused the problem in high prices. We need to move as quickly as possible to clean power, my Lords, because that is the way for stable pricing and the assurance that companies need.
My Lords, one of the ways of reducing the emissions from heavy goods vehicles is to use less of them and send it by rail. What is my noble friend's government doing about electrifying some of the rail network that would enable much more freight to go by electrically hauled locomotives and rail freight, and reduce the amount of heavy goods vehicles still using diesel?
My Lords, my noble friend, of course, makes an important point. And as my noble friend Lord Hendy referred to the House over the last few months, updated plans are being developed by Network Rail for where and when electrification is required to deliver a fully decarbonised railway system over the next 25 years. My Lords, I think I should also say that the government is supporting the development and deployment of battery technology through innovative trials, because this, my Lords, has application in relation to railways as well.
The original answer, the Noble Lord referred...
Crossbench. I would hear from the crossbenches.
Thank you. May I ask the Noble Lord the Minister, I've been told the Department of Transport will not classify hydrogen-powered internal combustion engines, which are really the only way of dealing with the heavy transport and the large lorries and the earth-moving equipment and stuff like that, as being net zero. Europe and America apparently take the opposite approach, as you can easily filter out the NOx, which is the problem. And I wondered if the Department of Transport should look at this again, so we can join the future modern world and with the heavy earth moving.
My Lords, I'm very happy to refer the Noble Lord's comments to the Department. And I should just say, I just want to repeat what I said. We do think that whilst in the main battery electric remains the dominant zero-emission technology for cars and vans, we do think that hydrogen does have a role in relation to heavy goods vehicles. I'm certainly happy to refer the point he makes to the Department.
As my noble friend has indicated,
I'm most grateful. In his original answer, the Noble Lord referred to rolling out electric vehicles. Will he look at the situation in rural areas where there is a dearth of electric charging points, with a view to mandating them going forward to ensure that there's a bigger take-up of EV vehicles with access to these charging points in rural areas?
My Lords, in relation to charge points, the reckoning at 1st of April 2025 is there are over 76,500 public charge points in the UK. So there has been considerable progress in the last few months and years. And the recent National Audit Office report on the state of the charge point rollout found that we are on track to deliver 300,000 charge points that we anticipate we need by 2030. And, my Lords, in relation to rurality, there was strong growth in rural areas in 2024, where charge point numbers increased by 45%. I know the Noble Baroness thinks we need to go further. I take the point. We are making considerable progress now.
The Minister agree that not only do we need as much clean public transport as possible, for example buses, but they need to go to the right places at the right time and with the right frequency. Yeah. I was recently in a bus station in Perth where I noted there was an electric bus going every 15 minutes from there to Glasgow and back 24 hours a day. In relation to the new towns which were the subject of the previous question, is it not just as important that the residents of those new towns have access to clean public transport to places of employment?
My Lords, I think the Noble Baroness makes an important point. I should say, my Lords, that in 2024 more than 50% of new buses registered were zero emission. Progress is being made. She knows that the government in the bus legislation going through is very focused on improving bus services generally, but I think embracing low carbon buses is really important in that.
Fourth oral question.